Actually, yes. I didn't get it. But I wrote that to game go on. I'm gonna start like.
Yeah, we've done this before.
All right, we're ready. All right, good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It is September 20th at 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me for a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John,
Here.
Mr. Capel,
Here.
Mr. Neff,
Here.
Mrs. Cooper, here, Mr. Grumney,
Here.
Mr. Ghost.
Here.
Dave Martin is absent, 6 present.
Right, thank you. We did have a meeting on September 6th, 2023.
Motion for approval?
We have a motion by Councilwoman Cooper.
Second.
We got a second by Mr. Capel. Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Cooper? Yes. Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mayor St. John, 6 yeas, minutes passed.
Right. All right, I would like to start with September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I do have a proclamation I would like to read. Proclamation declaring September 2023 Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Sunbury. Whereas childhood cancer is the leading cause of death by disease in children. Whereas 1 in 285 children in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer by their 20th birthday, with an average age of diagnosis of 6 years old. Whereas 46 children per day are diagnosed with cancer in the United States, and approximately 40,000 children are receiving active cancer treatments at any given time. And whereas since the mid-1970s, there's been a 24% increase in the incidence of childhood cancer. And whereas 2/3 of childhood cancer patients will have chronic health conditions because of their treatment toxicity, with 1/4 being classified as severe to life-threatening. And whereas half of childhood cancer families rate the associated financial hardships, whereas half of childhood cancer families rate the associated financial hardships due to out-of-pocket expenses and considerable to severe. And whereas in the last 30 years, only 6 new drugs have been approved by the FDA to specifically treat childhood cancer. And whereas we celebrate and thank the thousands of researchers and healthcare professionals who work diligently every day to treat, care, and cure children with cancer. And whereas hundreds of nonprofit organizations at the local and national level are helping children with cancer and their families cope with the disease by providing educational, emotional, and financial support. And whereas despite these efforts, still too many children are affected by this deadly disease, and more must be done to raise awareness and find a cure. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Joseph St. John, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Sunbury, Ohio, and encourage all residents to support the cause to find a cure to childhood cancer that so deeply impacts families in every community across our country, including our own. And with that said, I would like to invite the Preston family up, or Lori Preston, up to say a few words. Feel free to join. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Okay, until you read the facts. My name is Lori Preston. I wasn't going to do this. And this is my husband, Matt, and my daughter, Olivia. We've been fighting childhood cancer for the last year and a half. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and the City of Sunbury for this proclamation. On behalf of my family and many other families who've been touched by this disease, thank you for your support. Unfortunately, my son Jackson passed away 2 weeks ago. So I'll try to get through this without crying, but we already know that's not going to happen. But thank you for all who helped to make his celebration of life beautiful. I had invited a fellow cancer fighting mom to come and speak because I knew she would be stronger than I was. However, she couldn't join us tonight. Our stories could be exactly the same though. Both our sons were diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer. Different cancers, but still very rare. Both our sons bravely went through. Sorry, cheering up, I can't read my words. Both our sons bravely went through the same chemotherapy treatments and the stem cell replacements. They both endured numerous rounds of radiation and fought their battles with grace and strength that no child should ever have to show. Unfortunately, both our sons lost their battles. The outcomes were the same. But what should be most striking about this is that their battles were 10 years apart. Actually, the funding and research for childhood cancer is very limited. That your statistics are correct. In the last 77 years, they've only developed 3 new chemotherapy drugs, as opposed to 77 drugs for adults in the last 6 years. The treatments are still very limited and unfortunately not very successful. So our kids deserve more and they deserve better. Like you said, cancer is the #1 killer of children by disease in America. So we thank you for your support. We thank you for making September Childhood Cancer Awareness Month here in Sunbury. And our hope is that we can keep advocating for increased funding and research that we can spread awareness for this terrible disease because our kids do deserve it. Thank you. Sorry for crying.
I'd like to present the family with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's such a great tribute. So
Much
honor
for
is hard. Thank
He
you
said
so
he was
much.
very helpful.
Thanks for coming in.
We just have a moment of silence for the Prestons, please. Thank you. From the Citizen Recognition Program.
We're postponing them.
Yeah, we'll hold this for until the next meeting.
And we're on to committee reports. Mr. Neff. Nothing to report. Mrs. Cooper.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Capel.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Grumney.
Been busy. We, as everyone knows, you all attended the finance committee meeting earlier this evening. We had a number of items on the agenda. For the record, I'll just list those here, and for anyone out there listening, we can go back to the recording for details. We had the gap conversion proposal.
The impact fee appropriation discussion. We talked about not sufficient fund fees. Quarterly investment review was looked at. We also talked about RETA delinquency procedure. Mr. Hennessy gave us an update on the construction administration, the bidding status for that particular facilities project, which is still on course. And then we had our first draft review of the 2024 budget. I think that covers the finance meeting. Also, I did attend the fire board last week. The rescue truck is on pace to be delivered, hopefully by Halloween, if we're lucky. So it could be up and operational by that time. And Chief Kovach and one other representative went out to the facility in Minnesota. Did a test run with it, inspection, couple items they're tweaking at minimal cost, and they were just very happy with it. So we're looking forward to getting that in. And then we did talk a little bit about the substation out west, and the location, of course, it's near Camping World. And we have a work session on Monday morning to start the planning process for that.
You have a zoning meeting on 9/28. I wanted to call your attention. There will be a public hearing related to the new zoning code. Potentially, the Planning and Zoning Commission will take action. If they do and it's passed, I would expect this body to hear it the first meeting in November. If I'm not mistaken, does that sound right, Mr. Hennessy? Pending the passage of this, I would say it may be a good idea to get a little bit of a pre-read for council ahead of our public hearing that would be scheduled for early November. I know that helped the Planning and Zoning Commission before the official hearing was kicked off, where we had a couple of informal sessions. Mr. Hennessy and representatives from CT Consultants had provided, what we're trying to accomplish and the steps needed to implement a new zoning code. There is also expected to be an informal review from a developer. We passed an annexation for the Rogers property. It's located on 3Bs and a K road, about half a mile north of Cheshire Road, the roundabout. And we expect that developer to be presenting informally next Thursday. Any other committee reports? Okay, we are on to the police report. We have Deputy Chief Wade here.
They provided you a report. Most of this is just updates, and obviously any problems we think we may have, we obviously after hearing that realize they're very small. Our drone program again continues. I'm guessing, Mr. Goes, that we'll actually maybe have a drone in the air and be able to film the engine by Halloween as it appears.
That would be cool.
We'll see how that goes. An eager group, they're finishing up. Obviously, as I mentioned last time, with the field training officers has set us back just a couple of weeks for the testing for the 107, but they're staying the course with the other tasks at hand and look to take off by the end of the month of October. The bomb threat on Town Square that we had discussed last week, it remains under investigation. There's been other jurisdictions, other states identified. Detective Smith obviously remains vigilant in this. He's actually taken lead and actually given other agencies and other jurisdictions and other states information to help investigate. So that continues, and all three levels, again, with the mayor's support and requesting assistance, we've received assistance from BCI, as well as our Federal Bureau of Investigation partners. Big Walnut Local Schools. Justin Whiteside was elected as the soaring staff member of the week for the middle school. Justin has become a hallway favorite. Loves to give out high fives, some advice and mentorship. He's obviously set and blazed the path for our SRO program as it grows, and we look forward to continue to work there. And then lastly, I'll just leave you with it, around the office, I hear from new officers and tenured officers a continued theme of bolstered morale with the new facilities and the recognition from the community. I wanted to pass along a much heartfelt thank you for the needed growth and updating for our police department as we grow. We want you to understand that it is not taken for granted and we will continue to earn. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for DC Wade? Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
All right, we are on to the administrator report, Mr. Hennessy.
So just a couple of quick items. One is the building permit report from for August is in your packet. So as a regular update, want to keep sharing that with you. As you can see, through the month of August, zoning permits for new construction up a little over almost 60% year over year from 2022. And remember, 2022 was a record year. So, but maybe more significantly, the street program, just wanted to provide the update as of today. You've probably seen a lot of activity going on around the city. Today, they were applying the microsurfacing coating to the top of the streets that had been treated. That's the Cape Seal process that you see occurring. The concrete work is done on Miller Drive, and we still need to, they'll still mill and fill that. Again, I wish I could give you the date. I wish I could give the residents the date. I don't know the date. We continue to ask that question. And unfortunately, that communication will be one thing we want to talk to this contractor about going forward. On that point, we did have, today was a trash collection day in the city with the Cape Sealing going on in one of the communities. We had tried to coordinate that with the contractor. That didn't work perfectly. So we do have one neighborhood that didn't get its trash collected today. We worked with local waste services. They'll pick it up on Saturday. We'll drop literature in that community just to let them know tomorrow, to let them know to put it back out on Saturday to get picked up. Those are the animal streets and Walnut Street.
And you put out a Facebook post about that.
Yeah,
didn't
well,
you?
yeah.
Trying to share everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it. Yeah.
So that's it, unless anyone has any questions.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Hennessy? All right, thank you. You're on to the engineer's report.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'll go through, we've got my report in the package. I'll go through some of the more pertinent items. The reservoir park or fishing pier and parking lot improvements has been put out to bid. Pre-bid conference will be held at the municipal building on the 26th. Final bids are due on October 3rd. That pre-bid is not mandatory, but hopefully we'll get some participation there and some interest in bidding. J.R. Smith Park, we're continuing to work diligently on that and researching with the help of some other folks that are familiar with splash pads, with getting their opinions on options as far as the type of system to use for the water system. On the Walnut Street project, the mitigation grant, we have finished the surveying and we'll initiate geotechnical work soon. We'll be taking a drill rig out there, so we might need to do some resident notification there because it was a big piece of equipment. It might create some traffic issues. We have to do a maintenance of traffic plan with that. Traffic calming. I know we've got that. We have the completed survey, had really good response. I haven't seen the result of that yet. I'm sure that's coming soon.
Yeah, I've got them. I plan on reviewing with the traffic working group. I think we'll meet.
Okay.
If it's not next week, it's the following week.
Okay.
So, yep. 142 responses, complete responses.
That's
So over 300 people accessed the survey, 142 completed, went from beginning to every question. So
That's very impressive.
good deal.
GIS mapping, we're continuing to move forward with that, putting together some stuff. I know Daryl's working with the service staff, and we're working with getting some more information put in there. We're putting together a strategic plan to kind of chart where that should go in the future, kind of take down on how we should do that. And we'll look forward to presenting that to Mr. Hennessy here in the near future and discuss it with the rest of you. There is a lot of activity on private development projects. The Ravines has begun construction of phases 1 and 2. I am in the process. I just reviewed the first submittal for phases 3 and 4 and anticipate that will probably be approved in the next 60 to 90 days. Next year construction, I would imagine. The apartment complex, Granville Street multifamily development, Sunbury Commerce Park is also close to being ready to be approved from an engineering perspective. I just did the second plan review this weekend. I'm really looking diligently at that one as far as making sure that it's complying with the development text. And we know that's become something that we need to pay close attention to, and particularly on that project. Eagle Creek, the sanitary sewer installation may begin next week, if not next week, the week after. And then they'll follow up shortly after that with the remainder of the infrastructure to get that thing rolling. Oops. I just lost my place, sorry. Magnolia Park is getting buttoned up. We're looking at some issues related to the trails there and also connecting those into Price Ponds and looking at some different issues there to assure we get connectivity and get good paths, good trails in place that are appropriate for us. And that's largely it. We had only 8 right-of-way permits in this last session. Those things keep rolling in. It's a function of the development at the residential units as well. So that's my report, and happy to answer any questions.
Can we request to have you put together an exhibit that would supplement the text that would be just basically a map of the city, and any of the projects that are static, like roads program is going to be difficult, but I think about folks like the naming conventions and things probably blur together.
That's a great idea.
So, you know, like Eagle Creek, Rogers property, Ravines, just an arrow showing here's the property that we're talking about.
Absolutely. And that could go into the GIS as a matter of fact. And I'll do that. I like that.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions for Mr. Whited?
With our emphasis on trail construction, Dan, in addition to what we looked at earlier, was that last week we walked the trail, Magnolia? I can't remember.
Early this week, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
That was very productive.
Right.
Yeah, glad we did that. Very helpful to identifying the low areas and what we want to do with those. But with Granville Street development, we want to make sure that Mr. Romanelli and his team present the detailed trail connection that I believe they're required to do to our completed Fallen Heroes phase.
They did not have that on the plans I reviewed this weekend, and I called that out. But the connection that, well, I'd like to get with you offline and talk about that. It wasn't clear in the development text how that connectivity was expected to occur. Okay. So I'd like to chat with you about that.
Sounds good. That's all I had.
Thank you. All right, we're on to resolutions. No third readings. We do have 2 second readings. Resolution number 2023.23, a resolution accepting the Second Amendment certificate of estimated resources for the fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2023, and certifying them to the county auditor. Good with the reading, correct?
So on this one, Dana, I think we said we could get through the first reading, but probably wanted to act.
The second one will need act upon. This one can wait, but.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Resolution number 2023.24, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Yeah.
We're looking for a suspension, we're looking for, suspension of the rules.
I'll motion to suspend the rules.
Got Mr. Gose on a suspension of the rules. Second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Gose,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
6 yeas.
Motion to approve resolution 2023.24.
Got a motion on the resolution,
Second?
second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
6 yeas.
All right, no first readings. We're on to ordinances. I'm gonna ask that we, I don't know that I'm asking to table it. I'm just asking to reorder the agenda a little bit. I'd like to go to new and unfinished business first. Is that okay with everyone? Do I need to make any motion to do that?
You're the chair.
All right, we're going to new and unfinished business. Mr. Ghost,
Nothing here.
Mr. Grumney.
I have no new business, but I just, sometimes my heart gets so full, I have to share it. So I just want to say, I am so proud of this community. We had the courage of the Jackson family come tonight and share their battle and their tremendous battle for their son Preston. But I mean, to have a council, specifically a mayor that makes a proclamation under that cause is amazing. And I don't think you'll see that in every city. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the Jackson family that came in tonight.
I think it might have been Preston family, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. The Preston, you're right. I have it down. Preston family, excuse me.
That's okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. With their son Jackson. I look at police force who's diligently protecting the citizens of this city, following a case to the ends of the earth to try to find out who made us feel unsettled. We have an officer that is, basically an employee of the week. How often do you hear a police officer in a school system be the beloved employee of the week? That's not usual. We have a city staff that makes decisions and thinks about this community and everything that we do, making sure we're spending money appropriately, making sure that the needs of the citizens are being met. We have watchdogs. And then lastly, just the citizens themselves. I mean, whether it's the 4th of July, whether it's sizzle and sounds, whether it's in need of someone who's in need of help. I'm just very proud to be a part of this. And I thank everyone for in this room and outside this room for the services and the what you provide this community. So,
Well, thank you, John.
yeah.
I'd just like to remark how hard it is to go after John County. I don't have anything.
Switch order. Mrs. Cooper.
Two small things. One, at a softball game I was at the other night, a resident came up to me, and they live in the communities, and they wanted to thank me for the survey that went out. And they said that they have really noticed, unprompted, they came to me. They said they've really noticed a lot of communication coming from the city, and they feel like they know what's going on, and they feel included, and like their voice matters. And so I wanted to pass that on to our staff, because that's what we're trying to do, and you should be proud of yourselves. And then secondly, I wanted to give a shout out to our police department this evening, early afternoon, late afternoon, sometime today. Nancy and I were on a walk, and we were walking at J.R. Smith Park, and we heard a very loud boom. I don't know if you guys heard a boom, very, very loud boom, and then smoke. And so we hustled up to the over Certified Hill, and there had been an accident. No one was hurt. I think a trailer had hit a light pole, and everybody was okay. Like immediately you could tell everyone was okay. And so the gentleman across the street asked us, have you called the police? We said, no. Have you called the police? They called, and I mean, within a minute, an officer was there, and he got out. We were going to wait till the officer got there. We waited a whole 60 seconds. He got out, and first thing he said was, is everybody okay? And then we left so that they could get their work done. But it was like very quick response, immediately concerned, took care of the situation. I've never, knock on wood, had to see that before. I hope I don't either. But we were both just like confident, because we're like, Sunbury Police is coming. They're going to be here, and they're going to take care of it. And then we continued on our walk. So great job.
Great update. Thank you.
Nothing.
Mr. Neff.
Nothing to report.
I wanted to say, and I love our partnership with the schools, definitely getting better every day. And a couple things. Number one, the school puts on these what are called Eagle Extension programs, and they're voluntary, and I think some cost money. Some don't, but they're like little after school activities, and some are physical education, some are STEM. And I think there's some music ones, but there's one in the intermediate school. It's for disc golf. And there's a guy named Mr. D. My kids like rave about Mr. D. He's well known in the disc golf community. I've learned too. He takes out a group of 20 fifth and sixth graders throwing discs, some that have never done it before. And as part of this program, you get a disc, you get a shirt, you get a hat. It's like all this stuff. Like definitely, it's well worth whatever we spent on this. But so much so that like my son, my fifth grader, has got so into disc golf in the period of 3 or 4 weeks that we're walking over to the intermediate school. They've got that course put together. But then we went and played Kinslow, and that is really where I wanted to go with this. That is such a great resource for the city. I mean, even if you don't play disc golf, just go walk it. It is beautiful back there. The Columbus Flyers do an excellent job maintaining the equipment, and every time I drive back there, I've driven back there probably 4 times, mostly for disc golf. But I went for a streak of not going back to Freedom Park for a little while, and then I've been there 3 or 4 times just because I'm we have so many great natural resources, or people that paid it forward. I think an Eagle Scout put that in, if I'm not mistaken. And you just think back to John's point. It's the people make such a difference. The people who had the foresight to say, hey, we need to purchase that property, or hey, we want to develop something. And most of these things that are done are not with great sums of money. It's just effort and care and love, and we all get to experience the fruits of that. So I'm so blessed that we have those great resources here. Any other new or unfinished business?
I was just going to add one thing to that. A shout out to our organizations, the Civic Association and the Chamber. They're fantastic with community work too.
Absolutely. I need a little bit of guidance here. I think I'm actually going to request a recess for just about 5 minutes. I know this isn't standard protocol, but this has to do just with some business that requires a little bit of foresight here. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to make a motion for a 5-minute recess, and we'll reconvene shortly. Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Grumman,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
6 yeas.
Right. We can probably pause the recording and stream. Okay. All right. I'd like to make a motion to reconvene.
I'll second.
We got a second by Councilwoman Cooper. Discussion? Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
6 yeas.
Okay. All right, now I'm gonna backtrack. As the chair, I think I'm able to do that. We're gonna backtrack to first reading ordinance number 2023.19, an ordinance authorizing execution of a compensation agreement between the Big Walnut Local School District and the city of Sunbury and declaring an emergency. And one of the reasons for my pause was the school board is meeting right now, and they're in executive session discussing an economic development deal. They mentioned that on public record. And the next item on their agenda is the item that we're about to approve here. So I just wanted to make sure we're all in alignment. We are, and I'd ask that we be the tip of the spear, and I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
There will be a point for discussion here, sure. Got a second by Councilwoman Cooper. Discussion, roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
6 yeas.
I'd like to make a motion on the emergency.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Cooper. Discussion, roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yeah.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
6 yeas.
All right, and I would like to make a motion on the ordinance.
I'll second.
We got a second by Councilwoman Cooper, and this is where we're going to discuss just a little bit. So you may recall that we had a unanimous approval to enter into an agreement with an MOU, excuse me, not an agreement, an MOU with the school district laying out business terms for a school compensation agreement and more or less an economic development incentive between Sunbury and the school district. And what this does is it lays out a foundation that provides certainty to the private sector as to what is available in terms of when they come in, timelines and approvals and notifications and things of that nature. And the school board has welcomed this discussion. Frankly, I think they're very excited to partner with the city of Sunbury on economic development. And this is combined with the zoning district that we are working through the public hearing process right now. So this is a major component. The school's approval is a major component. I've been talking and messaging with the superintendent and the school board president, and I believe they're on track to approve this formal agreement, which is everything that consisted in the MOU, plus all the legalities and disclaimers that are needed to formalize this agreement. So that's my comment. Any questions or additional comments from?
I think this goes along the lines of something that I'm really proud of, of working together with the schools.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any questions or comments from staff? Good to go. All right, we're ready for a vote.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
6 yeas.
All right, and I think we're all wrapped up.
Mr. Martin's not here.
I don't know. The next meeting is the first meeting in October. Was that the 6th? Or
October 4th, Mr. Ghost's birthday.
Oh, thank you for calling that out.
Please, next meeting.
They'll find a way to avoid that, maybe they'll miss that meeting. Don't do birthdays anymore.
Turkey's a big one though.
I've seen that one.
Okay, all right.
Right.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Capel.
Second.
We got a second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.
6 days, we are adjourned.